Hey there, what do you hear, what do you say? Today I want to talk about a concept that I don't think gets enough attention, namely nostalgia. Well, what is nostalgia, fundamentally? Nostalgia, at its core, is a sort of sentimental longing or a sort of wistful affection for the past, and it often glorifies it to and idealizes it to an unhealthy extent. When we sort of think about the past, it could be sort of difficult to realize the fact that it really wasn't as good as we thought it was. While reminiscing about like the memories that we had can make us feel good in the moment, and it can make us feel like better about things, and it's sort of like excessive attachment to the past can become a hindrance, impeding our progress and our personal growth. So I think that this is an idea that doesn't really get talked about in like the self-help development space, or any rate, when it comes to the things that I personally like and the content I've consumed, I don't really see it get talked that much. So I think a sort of concrete example might be useful. All right, let's try to understand how nostalgia can hold us back from our goals. When we dwell too much in the past, we risk becoming stuck in a sort of cycle of reminiscence, unable to move forward in our lives. We may find ourselves constantly comparing our present circumstances to the perceived glory of the past, leading to dissatisfaction and disillusionment with our current reality. This dissatisfaction can breed like inertia, right? Basically, the sort of like tendency to not want to do anything else, right? The tendency to just leave things as they are, preventing us from taking the necessary steps towards our aspirations and ambitions. Moreover, nostalgia has a way of distorting reality. It tends to gloss over the challenges and hardships we faced in the past, painting a rosy picture that may not accurately reflect the truth. By romanticizing the past, we may fail to recognize the lessons learned from our past experiences, thereby repeating mistakes and missing out on opportunities for growth. So what can we do to sort of like mitigate this sort of desire? There's a couple that I've sort of thought of. One is just sort of embracing the present moment, right? Generally speaking, when you sort of think about your life and the things that are going on, there's almost always something that you can be happy about, something that you can sort of look back on and think, man, that was awesome, right? That you're doing currently. Instead of dwelling on what you was or who you was in high school or who you are was in, I don't know, primary school or whatever it may be, right? Focus on the here and now. Practice mindfulness and gratitude journaling to cultivate a sort of appreciation for the present moment and all the opportunities that are within it. Learning from the past is also completely normal, right? It's completely natural to sort of want to sort of think about the past, to sort of reflect on it, to consider it in various respects. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just keep in mind that you have to strike a balance, so to speak. You can't sort of like incessantly think about it like day in, day out. Setting goals and taking actions, channeling your energy into sort of like meaningful goals that you personally want for the future and taking proactive steps to achieve them, that's a very, very important thing as well. By focusing on what lies ahead, you can break free from the shackles of nostalgia, propel yourselves towards personal and professional growth, and cultivating like new experiences as well. So try to have like new experiences, go somewhere you haven't been before, have adventures that you haven't been before. And going outside of your comfort zone can broaden your horizons, make your life more enriched, and provide you with fresh memories to cherish, right? So I think these are sort of like good things to just be cognizant of. But I just really wish to stress something, because this is something that I personally like struggle with as well. It's sort of like it reminds me of like a conversation that allegedly took place between Aristotle and Alexander the Great, obviously. So Aristotle said, "What's the easiest thing in the world?" And Alexander said, "Well, what is it, right?" And Aristotle said, "To give advice." And Aristotle then said, "What's the most difficult thing in the world?" And Alexander said, "What?" And then Aristotle said, "To follow that advice." And in my life, I've sort of realized that's true. I often go around giving advice to other people, telling them to be more disciplined, more focused, more energetic, more whatever it may be, whatever positive quality you think is necessary to lead a good life. But for me, it's really difficult to follow that advice, right? I personally have a lot of vices. I struggle with a lot of things. I procrastinate a lot. I personally am not nearly disciplined as much as I want to be. So I think that these videos are primarily a way for me to sort of like try to help other people, try to communicate to them what's going on in my life, and trying to sort of like use my experiences to help better theirs. Because the thing is that human beings are a lot more similar than we are different. We sort of sometimes I think people sort of have the idea that everyone is their own sort of unique island and they're all sort of like doing their own thing. But realistically, the thing is that you aren't alone. And pretty much whatever avenue you have, and pretty much whatever's going on in your life, right? There's always going to be someone else who has a sort of like overlap of experience, right? So when it comes to me, I would constantly and incessantly go and listen to the same cartoons. I would listen to the same albums. I would do the things I used to do when I was a kid, and it would make me feel good for a while, right? And when I sort of compare that sort of day, where I spent like just basically nostalgia dumping, basically, for want of a better term, right? Basically sort of going over all the instances, all the times where I did the things I did when I was a kid, as opposed to the days where I was focused, I was determined, on the days when I chose what I wanted to do that day. I noticed that there's like a severe disparity in terms of well-being, in terms of how focused I am, in terms of how happy I am, right? So I'm saying this not just for your benefit, but for mine as well. Nostalgia is nice, right? It can be sort of nice to sort of hear a song you haven't heard in a while. It can be nice when you sort of like have a conversation, or you go to some place that you haven't been since you were a child. But it's nice when it's unintentional, right? When you intentionally sort of seek out those sort of feelings of like when you were a kid or when you were young, those days are gone, right? Nothing can bring them back. Nothing can ever bring them back. And even if you did bring them back, it wouldn't feel nearly as good as you thought they would, right? The thing is that when I sort of reflect on my past, every day by themselves were fine, right? Only in the aggregate do I sort of idealize them, do I sort of think fondly about them, right? And that's only when I sort of compare myself to today. But the thing is, today's wonderful, right? I have a bunch of opportunities that weren't present to me when I was young. I have a bunch of beautiful things in my life that I love and cherish, right? And I really, really adore right now. So, such as the fact that I'm around nature, the fact that I have my own room, the fact that I have a PC, the fact that I have so many books that I can read. I have a bunch of gifts that I really am grateful for, right? And just not idealizing the past and being focused on the present, that's probably like the single biggest, most important thing when it comes to the sort of mindset change that I think is sort of like integral to sort of a good life and sort of focusing on your goals and your progress, right? So yeah, in this video, in comparison to the last one, I managed to make like a GIF, and I also managed to add some music as well. So yeah, that's basically like what I've been trying to do. Like every week, I'm going to try to make each one better than the next. And I think what I'll try to do is I'll try to make 2 videos a week instead of just the one. So I think I'll publish a video on Sunday, and I think I'll publish a video on Wednesday as well. I think that's probably what